trying to adjust my situation too. I don't want to expose too many secrets of the studio. I'm just kidding.
Dude, we're all in our temporary rigs right now.
So weird. It's such a weird time. I know that everybody keeps saying that, and it sounds kind of repetitive and like lame at this point, but it's such a weird time.
Yeah, it's wild. But you know what? I think it's kind of inspiring a lot of I don't know, innovation, right? I think people are kind of like looking to other avenues to figure out how to create and stay busy and adapt because we don't have a choice, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what have you been doing to stay creative? I mean, I know musically you got stuff going on. I mean, the Used put out a new record. I know Hell or Highwater put out an EP.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've had a lot going on. I've had, 3 different little things release music this month. Obviously, the Used record is keeping us busy with, doing interviews and press and stuff like that. But at home, I mean, I have a 2-year-old, so I'm not searching for stuff to do. She's keeping us busy for sure. But I've been building the studio. We started in August, and it's been nice to be able to just get it done. So I should be done here in a few weeks, and with the recent changes in our whole world, we're going to be, setting it up to be able to live stream and have that whole new avenue of performances that people are going to expect.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny. I keep hearing talks about how things are opening up and how, in the next couple weeks, I think Missouri's doing concerts with like social distancing where they're
For
selling
sure.
like 6 seats at a time. Like, I don't know if I want to go to a concert that's so spread out like that. It makes it feel like the band, obviously the band quality and performance is one thing, but there's something about a packed house, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, unfortunately, like I'm kind of keeping the mindset of like, okay, it is what it is, right? So how do we do something innovative and creative to keep people, um, you know, getting that experience that we're missing? Obviously we want to go slam up against the front of the crowd and circle pit and do our fun rock stuff, but if we can't do that till next year, we still want to come up with some new ideas and new ways to give people what they need. I think it's so much bigger than just going to the concert, right? Like it's a family. I think people are attached to these bands. This is part of their daily life. So taking that away from them is really tough. So we got to innovate and come up with interesting ways to give that experience back soon.
Yeah. I've seen some cool things online. I mean, I've seen bands doing concerts in an empty venue. I've seen
Right.
I've seen bands like Goldfinger put out a cool little video of them each in their individual studios.
Yeah, they're killing it. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
really fun to watch.
yeah, but we'll see. I think, like I said, I think things are starting to lighten up, but also differently. We're gonna have different perspectives and keep our distance a little bit for a while. Even
Yeah,
even if stuff opens up, we still gonna keep our distance, I think.
it's interesting, man. I'm not, I'm kind of overwhelmed with information coming from all over the place, so I'm just trying to focus on, my family and reaching out to my people with the Used family and keeping us all in positive spirits till things click back again. But I really am trying to look at this as an opportunity to come up with some new things that we haven't been able to do before. Like how can we connect with fans and stay a part of their lives while we're not able to go on the road and travel to them. So we'll see what happens. My band is also on 3 different continents, so it's a little
Wow.
bit tougher for us to do some of this fun live stream stuff everyone's been doing.
Yeah, and it's weird because we've had these tools for a while, right? We've had
Yeah.
Skype and we've had Zoom and all this, but like all of a sudden people I guess they're more accepting of it,
Well, it's
and
kind of the only option.
yeah.
Everyone has the ability to sit back and come up with a really quality version of what we've seen people do forever, and have a platform where people are like, okay, I'm going to give this a try. If this is what it takes, it's a
Mhm.
different experience than being in the room for sure, but it's something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I also see I'm been seeing like a rise in VR stuff too. Like my friend the other day, I don't know if you know the guys from Poison the Well. I don't know if you guys played
I know,
shows
I know
together.
Chris. Chris has teched around the world, and I've seen him forever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Jeff, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, me and my boys get together on the weekend in VR and watch a movie together." And I'm like, "What?"
Oh wow! Oh wow!
So yeah, it's a movie theater. Like you're in the movie theater, and you look to your left, and there's people sitting there, and they have an avatar. You know, I'm like, "Wow!" So this is it, right? This is the beginning.
We're toast.
This is everything I've seen in those sci-fi dystopian movies. It's happening.
Oh my goodness, I know. Have you watched Westworld? Are you a Westworld fan?
Yeah, I'm a little behind. I think we're like 2 or 3 episodes behind of the new season, but
that's where I'm at too. But it's already tripping. It's a simulation in a simulation. What is life? Love it.
Yeah, I saw a meme the other day. I thought it was funny because I didn't even think about it. We've been watching the show, and I was like, I got time for the cowboy show that's no longer about cowboys.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, but you know, we saw Ready Player One. I mean, I read the book before the movie, and you know, we've seen this kind of VR shit, like even back in the '90s with like Lawnmower Man. You know, like I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, and yesterday actually, I was watching Joe Rogan talk to Elon Musk again, and you know, people have their opinions on Elon and whatever. What I've been trying to tell my friends, like, whatever your opinion is about the guy, whether or not he's a douche or he's got Twitter beef or whatever it is, like, the guy has billions of dollars and he's investing it in trying to come up with crazy things. And whether you like the thing or not, it's gonna happen because he's got the money. So it's better to be aware of what he's doing. And he's doing this. I don't know if you've heard about the Neuralink thing.
I don't know about this yet.
Ooh. So he's inventing a device that will go directly into your brain.
Good start.
Yeah, they'll cut a little tiny incision, and it's like a chip that'll go in there with little wires, and it's meant for science to help people with brain damage, like Alzheimer's or disabilities with, you know, limb function or vision. Sure. He's like, we can restore your vision if you lose your neurals, like for seeing. And but you know, then he started kind of like, also we can record dreams and memories, and you can edit them.
Elon, get out.
And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, and then you could like experience it. And it's not like a phone, like when you film something with your phone and you're watching it, like you're experiencing every sense because it's in your brain. So you can feel it, you can smell it, and I'm like, no, stop it.
I don't have an opinion. I'm weirded out by it.
I mean, I had to pause it a couple times. I was just worried. I'm like, this can't be happening.
Yeah.
And then like every few like minutes, he'll drop something like, oh yeah, this will be ready in about, we're doing human testing in a year and it'll be out in like 5. And I'm like, no.
Oh, no. It's a wild time, man. It's weird to have a kid right now too. It's like, oh crap, what is their adulthood gonna be like? What is their childhood gonna be like, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna be insane. We've accelerated so much, and like even in our lifetime. I don't know how old you are, but I mean, I'm 38. 33? I'm 38. I was there before internet and all this shit, and but just seeing that the rapid pace of its progression is what's freaking me out, because I'm like, well,
I mean, since like 95 to now, everything is like a 2-year jump, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, I never would have thought I would have a supercomputer in my pocket with the, you know, answers to every question I would ever come up with. And you can just, hey, what is this?
My wife and I have been watching what's it called, Prop Culture or something like that on Disney, and we watched how they made the first Tron movie, and it was such a trip. Like the amount of drawings that they had and the computer programming that they were inventing for the first time. And one of the comments on that was, you know, like the computers that are in our pockets today are 10 times stronger and more capable than the computers that they made that movie with, you know, back in 83 or whatever it was. It's a trip.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll see.
The future is now.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm all for it. Like, thankfully, I haven't become like my parents, where, you know, there's that generational gap where, like, I had to explain what GPS was to my family. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, it tells you where to turn. They're like, but how? Like, satellites? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't even know. I don't question it. Our whole
Yeah, it
generation
just
doesn't even
works.
question it. Yeah, come on. That's
And
funny.
the whole Wi-Fi thing too, like Bluetooth and all. I know it's silly to talk about it like this. It makes me sound like a super old man, but it's still fascinating to me that I can do things wirelessly.
Of course.
So, and we just kind of accepted it too. Like it was just like, oh well, I guess that's just how it works. And
Yeah, and that's taken over everything. I tripped out on the Bluetooth thing for a couple years. I was trying to figure out that whole world, but yeah, it's a trip, man. Our whole world is based off of that. Like CDs obviously don't exist anymore because the digital world and Bluetooth made it possible to play it in your car, play it anywhere you want. It's, little jumps in technology drastically changed the face of all industries, really. But yeah, I'm fascinated by little things like that. And you can see things changing all the time. Like, every time Apple decides to do something with their device, the whole world just changes and
yeah,
upgrades and whatever it is, it's a trip.
yeah, man. It's funny you mentioned CDs. Like I never thought I'd come to the day where I don't know how to play a CD anymore. I don't have a
Yeah.
CD player.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't know where to I believe like Nuclear Blast sent me the new Testament album on CD.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, wow, this is great. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I can't listen to
What
it.
am I supposed to do? Yeah. It's a trip, man. No
yeah,
computers. They don't have them anymore. Yeah,
yeah,
that was
there's
like,
no CD drives. Yeah.
I was bummed for about 10 minutes. And then I was like, well, I guess I don't use this anymore. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about CDs and albums and everything, you put out Heartwork, came out April 24th.
That's right.
What was kind of like the procedure for you? Because I know you're relatively newer to the band. Like you joined in 2018.
Fresh guy.
So in terms of writing, how involved were you with that?
It was, I went into it thinking that it was, it was a big, intimidating situation. I mean, the duo of the Used and John Feldman making a record has created some of the coolest music ever, right? And stuff that I grew up listening to and being influenced by. So coming into the situation, I was just like, all right, I know my role. I'm just gonna like kind of cruise, but really quickly in the process, I slowly kind of start giving my input as we're writing and going through these things. They really gave me a lot of freedom. So, once we started doing the bulk of the writing, it was just a team effort, and that includes everyone. That's what was so cool for me to experience is to, get to write a record with the Used, first of all, and see how involved, Dan is and Jeff and Bert and John as well. Like everyone is firing off on all cylinders all the time. So the environment is very much like on your toes, throwing ideas out, recording them as soon as we have them. Is that cool? Do we like that? Is it not? Let's do something different. So yeah, so it was a trip. I mean, I felt as though I was, part of the family, part of the team, pretty much from day one. And we would start every day fresh and write a song and pretty much finish it and record it that day and move on to another one the next day. So yeah, there wasn't much growing pains or anything like that. It was just like, let's go. And I've been touring with the guys for a couple of years and we've known each other for a long time. And but yeah, I mean, my first time working with John, I had just met him, so really cool.
That's awesome, man. And I'm assuming the album was recorded, several months back. Because obviously we're not there yet where
Right.
we record an album and it comes out immediately. So,
Right. Well, you
uh,
guys do a lot of setup. There's a lot of artwork. We did a bunch of videos. A bunch of press. There's a whole rollout. And that was the thing is, when the pandemic hit and all this everything shut down, we really didn't even have a discussion about changing the date or anything. It was just like, well, no, now more than anything, people need music. So, yeah, it was always the plan to put it out on the 24th, and we got everything out we wanted to do beforehand, and stoked people get it now.
yeah, and you guys have a couple videos as well. Said you filmed beforehand.
Yeah. We did the first video. I think Paradise Lost we did in like January or something like that. I think, and Blow Me we had done before that in December, and then there was a whole bunch of or a handful of lyric videos that were done here in the last couple months, but everyone's been killing it. Our whole team, our management, all the artists, like a wild amount of people have been working on this record, and everyone has showed up for sure.
And there's a bunch of guests too. I mean, I saw, and Blow Me has Jason Butler from Let Live and Fever, and his own label now and everything. Yeah, I remember meeting that dude when Let Live was kind of first starting up, and he was on tour with Let Live and the Human Abstract.
Ooh,
and
cool.
The Human Abstract dudes are really good friends, so we used to tour together too. And he was just the wildest person I'd ever seen on stage.
Yeah,
lighting his set list on fire and eating it, and like just running, and I always thought, I'm like, man, that's fascinating and wonderful, and I love it so much. But how sustainable can that possibly be for a human to just be that insane?
See, that's
all
the thing, though, is you said human, and Jason is not one of those people. That guy is from another planet for sure. Yeah. But from all angles of that guy's life, he's the sweetest person in the world off stage. He's genuine, he's really kind, always finds a good thing to say about you. He's like Bear Grylls. But yeah, then he gets on stage and a switch flips and he's a different guy. And this is, when he's singing those words, he means that stuff on stage, and that's not a normal thing. Like, there's a few singers out there that turn into that person and put themselves in that character and give you that experience that's like no other. Bert is one of those people. Bert's a trip, man. I mean, when we're on stage, we're in the used, it doesn't, nothing else is real. So yeah, but Jason's a wizard, man. And when he got in the studio for that song, it was like, all hugs, we miss you, love you, all this stuff, hung out, and it was like, all right, let's go. And he got in there, and it was like, you would have thought he was in a circle pit in the studio. He was running all over the place. And like, I'm pretty sure what we ended up using on Blow Me was his first pass, which he wrote, and he jammed it in one pass, and we made him do two more because we were having fun watching him. But yeah, that guy's a wizard, man. And he's good people. Love that guy.
That's awesome. And you also had Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker in there in the album.
Yeah, super fun with them too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how was that experience in the studio? With people that have been doing it for so long.
I mean, I grew up, as most of us did. I've been a huge Blink fan forever. I live in San Diego, grew up here, so they're like hometown heroes. Nice. So just the idea of working with Mark and Travis was a trip. So I was a little nervous when they came in, and 2 separate days. But yeah, Travis was immediately just like the homie, cruising. And we had a pretty cool song, and he ripped his parts real quick too. But that guy's a wizard, man. I mean, he'll get in there, as we all know, it's Travis Barker, right? But he'll get in there, and it's just like, all right, we're going to hit the verse, and he'll hear it one time and then play his part. And it's like, I don't think we should change anything, So he was really cool, really supportive of the songs, like very stoked. And then Mark was really sweet and really smart. His whole approach to writing, when we wrote The Lighthouse with him, was a treasure. He's got a cool knack for melody and really cool lyric ideas that were fun and made one of my favorite songs on the record. And yeah, Mark's a rad dude. He's funny as crap too. I mean, as you would expect, but
right.
It was like, for how smart his kind of lyrical input was, he would follow up each like really deep thought with some funny BS, some Blink crap. Love me some Mark.
How does that work? I mean, as a person on the outside, because I mean, I've been in bands too and all that, but I've never been in a band that has been as successful as the Used, for example. And I know that I've had friends that obviously do that, and there used to be a time when having a guest on your album was more of a label thing, like the label was pushing you, like, hey, you're gonna. And like, I had friends, my buddies
sure,
yeah, like in Darwin's Waiting Room, the old friends of mine from Florida. When their album came out, they're like, oh, we got Shaggy on a track. and I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And then it was the label. And I'm like, okay. So when it comes to like the Blink guys and Jason, was that any kind of label involvement, or was that just homies called up?
It's more of a homies called up thing. I think, the Used obviously it's 20 years in and 8 records or 9 records, and you know, these guys have kind of made enough of a mark to where some of those phone calls were a little bit easier to get answered. And again, working with Feldman works with everyone. So anyone that we would want to work with, John's like, all right, I'll give him a call, you know. Nice. And then we also have the added benefit of John being the label as well. So, I mean, I guess yes and no and yes and no, but everyone was just kind of like, you know, it was a team effort. Like genuinely felt as though everyone showed up and all of our ideas were heard, and everyone that we worked with outside of just the 5 of us, including John, was incredible and someone that we really wanted to see what we could write with. You know, we ended up, there's so many songs that we wrote and recorded for this record. And I know it seems like we put out a ton. There's 16 on the record, but there's a bunch more that haven't seen the light of day yet. Like we were just going and going and going. But yeah, how awesome is it to be able to have Mark and Travis and Jason and Caleb on the lottery, and you know, all these incredible people we got to do writing sessions with. It was fun, insane, and I love the record. You know, I think people are being super kind about it. It feels like it's going to have a place in people's lives for a long time as a result of doing that. So
yeah, man, for sure. And you know, it again, it's a weird time to be putting out music, but like you said, it feels like it needs to be out. You know, and you need
Absolutely.
to put that out there. You said there's a bunch of other songs. I mean, is there plans for maybe like a B-side or a part 2 or something like that?
I'm sure we'll do something. You know, we'll do something.
They're not just going to disappear into the ether.
They won't. I don't think those will disappear. And again, everyone in the band is kind of always writing, so you know, there will always be more music. There will always be more songs. There's always going to be that, but you know, we're stoked to have Heartwork out finally and see about playing those songs live again someday, and then we'll talk about more music then.
Oh hell yeah. Oh yeah. And to shift gears a little, you know, Hell or Highwater put out an EP, Lost at Sonic Ranch.
Yeah.
What's the story with that?
It was basically the B-sides that we had from recording the first record. So we had gone and recorded, I guess we recorded kind of similar thing. We went and recorded like 16 or 17 songs. We had written 50. We had like 50 demos before we went and made that album. So the timing was kind of just, you know, because of our situation. Like we hadn't talked about when we wanted to put those out. We knew we eventually wanted to put those songs out and give them the light of day. But we were talking with Spine Farm, and Brandon and I were having a conversation. It was like, yo, we have those B-sides. They're mixed. They're mastered. They're beautiful songs. Like, maybe let's have that conversation. And the label was really receptive. They were super into the idea. So, yeah, we kind of, with no plan at all, we're kind of just like, all right, we have all this content. We have some video footage. Let's give it some love and put it out there and just let people enjoy it. So, and people have been cool about that too. I mean, songs I forgot about that I love are finally out, you know, so.
Nice.
It's weird living with songs for so long and not realizing no one else has heard them. You know, it's like, oh, that song's pretty cool, and you put it out, it's like, oh no, this is something fresh and new for people. So
yeah. That is a weird feeling. Like my old band, we not broke up, but took a break. Everybody went to different states, and you know, we're on hiatus. It's been 4.5, 5 years now. But right before we did that, we wrote a whole album and never put it out.
Oh, geez.
And I'm already tired of the song. Yeah, I'm already tired of the songs because I've heard them 1,000 times. But then I realized, like, there's people that haven't heard that, I guess.
Yeah, so. I know. If it's finished and done, too, just put it out. You can always write more.
Yeah. I mean, the songs are done. The recordings are not. We have pre-pro, you know, like all kind of garage sounding stuff.
You gotta set up a time, get everyone in the same state for a couple days.
Yeah, man. Actually, you know, it's funny. Nick, who's the one who hooked us up, our buddy Nick Scrivens.
The guy.
The legend, man. He's an old buddy, man. I consider him a brother. Like, you go to my Facebook, he's listed as my actual brother because you know, we've lived together for years. He was part of the band, and just, you know, he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't like a band member. Like he wasn't playing an instrument or whatever, but he would always come into the studio when we were recording, and like I'm like, hey man, do a scream, and like we just record him like screaming, and
boy.
He's the man, dude. And I'm sure he's gonna give me shit for, talking about the band and not putting out music.
He will, as he should.
Yeah,
Put it out.
yeah, man.
Love
Um,
it.
when are you a fan of like heavier music too? Because I mean, Hell or High Water and the Used are more of a, I don't, just straightforward rock and kind of
Sure.
like easier listening than like the heavy metal stuff that Nick listens to or that I listen to. So,
Yeah, yeah.
do you
I
listen to any
like.
Pink Band?
Yeah, I listen to lots of heavy stuff. I like to write heavy music too. I've never been in like a proper like metal band or anything. You know, I filled in for some cool stuff, and I've got to play metal. And all my buddies have always been in metal bands. That's kind of what I've always been around. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, man, what have I been listening to lately? Uh, like Knock Loose is kind of like new era for me that I'm getting into. Well, it's old school music, right? But
Yeah.
it's fun hearing a new band do that kind of stuff. The new Azalea Dying is super fun. Those are all my old buds. I went to high school with Phil, and so he was kind of the first of my group of friends to like join a proper band and start writing music and making albums, doing all that stuff, so that we could even realize that was an option, you know. And so he was always metal guy, and we always wanted to do what he did. So we tried to write metal and sucked at it. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
man.
I've always done the rock thing, but I love me some metal, man. I'm about it.
What would you say are some of your bigger influences when writing music? Other bands from like the 70s or 80s or 90s.
Yeah, I was big into classic rock for a while, and I think during like my late teens, I was super Zeppelin, Floyd, you know, that kind of world. So David Gilmour's always been a big one for me. I would always been like a reverb and delay kind of dude, you know, like stadium-y guitar is my favorite things in the world. Um, but then, you know, kind of modern versions of that kind of influence, I think, are bands like Jimmy Eat World, and like the simplicity of their songwriting for rock music, but how good the music is always complementing what the vocals are doing. You know, I've always been influenced by singer songwriters and, you know, maybe more Americana kind of stuff when I'm writing music, but all you have to do is you know, put a distortion on the guitar and put it in a minor key, and I think you have a good platform to write heavy, aggressive music, you know, and write good vocals over. But
Yeah.
influences, that one's always tough for me. That one's always tough.
Oh, you
I
answered
kind
it
of
pretty
like,
well, I think.
sure, I kind of like skipped when I was learning guitar and getting into songwriting and all this stuff. I kind of skipped the like obsess over certain bands and certain musicians and skipped like learning cover songs and all that stuff. Like the second I kind of could figure out how to make melody, I just kind of dove in. I've always been like that. But then I got into, you know, I guess like Radiohead was a big influence, and people that just did weird crap, right? Like made their instruments not sound like their instrument. And
Right,
that's
right.
what's fun with the Used. I mean, the Used has always been like that, right? There's always some sort of weird delay or verb or effect or something interesting on the guitars over simple chords.
Right.
So yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome, man. I was thinking about the Used, and you mentioned Jimmy Eat World, and there was this time period. The year kind of escapes me. I want to say early 2000s or something, but there was a time period when like that type of music, those bands, the Used and Jimmy Eat World, were dominating the
Sure.
airwaves, basically. Uh,
Yeah.
do you think that kind of domination can happen again with that type of music, or are we past that now and we just kind of have to evolve? Because
I think you know, this is a to quote John Feldman, I think song is king. You know, if you write a great song, I really don't think it comes down to genre as much as maybe it did in the past. You know, I think the radio platforms were maybe a little different. People buying records influenced the way that pop culture was, you know, and now those things kind of don't exist in the sense that one song can define an artist rather than a full album like back in the day, right? And I mean, I guess to answer your question, yeah, I think rock music totally could have a place in radio and pop culture again if the songs are really good. And also, I mean, the idea of alternative music is always just something that's alternative of everything else, right? So
Right.
I think if you're being innovative and writing cool songs, no matter how it ends up sounding at the end or whatever genre it fits into, I think that's really so much bigger than is rock gonna dominate,
Yeah.
Or
I
maybe
mean,
that's my hopeful answer, dance around that question. How about that?
yeah. I mean, I think we might see a surge after the quarantine. Like, I think people are gonna, once everybody's like, okay, we're safe and we can go back to moshing and
Right.
being around each other. I think we might see more of a people just letting out that energy of like, let's get together and mosh and
No,
crowd
that
surf and
I definitely agree with you there. I think, people are gonna maybe not take as much advantage of it. Maybe keep the cell phone in the pocket during the live show, and maybe like some certain aspects of it will change for the better. Really, this could be the last time. Who knows what's going to happen? So I'm excited for that to come real quick so that we can start having crazy shows again. I mean, the tour we did right before this all hit was wild. Like Underplay tour, everything sweaty, sold out venue, like what we're all missing right now. We got a good chunk of it. So
yeah, right. You brought that up. It's a good point. Like, I felt a lot of musicians were talking about it. A lot of people were talking about the people pulling up the cell phones at the shows and not really enjoying the show, kind of just filming it for Instagram or whatever it is. And maybe this is what we needed. Like, now this is all we have, your cell phone and your laptop, and
right.
and you're stuck with it for months. So maybe yeah, and maybe now when you go to a concert, it's like, nope, let's enjoy life.
Yeah, and you know what? To each their own. If that's gonna bring you joy to pull your camera out or whatever, I understand. But we all know it is a better experience if you just take it in. Like endorphins will rush much stronger if you just take it in. But you do you, boo boo.
Yeah, right. It's that weird FOMO thing that people want to show the world. Like, can you believe what I'm experiencing? Like, it. And I get it. I've done it too. I'm not saying I'm above that. Like, I've been to a show. Usually what I'll do is, the first song or two, I'll grab like 30 seconds. Like, oh shit, and then I'll just put it away and then run to the front, to kind of or if I'm stuck like on a side stage situation, if I get invited to a show by a friend or whatever, and I can get a cool little side stage angle of the crowd, then I'll do that too. But
yeah, gotta get it.
Yeah. If once this whole thing lifts up and you guys can go back on tour, what would be your fantasy like tour package that you want to put together?
Oh, I mean, with this album out, it would be nice to go out with Fever, Beartooth, and Blink. That would be a sick tour, right? And then we'll just play the record and play those 4 songs and have those guys jam with us. That would be super fun. And then I think other dream would be, let's see, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many bands. We love touring with everyone. I love these festivals. They're so fun. We had a blast with all of our bands over summer, playing with Thrice and Circa Survive and tons of insane bands. Sum 41. Yeah, good things.
Would it be exciting for you? I mean, obviously it would be exciting.
Oh, and Mike Ham. Sorry, is that what you're getting to? Yeah, Mike.
Oh. No.
I
was gonna say, would it be exciting to you? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm talking shit, but I was gonna say going on the road with like a Led Zeppelin now, where like they're really old, and I don't know if that would be as exciting or if it would be more of a sad like situation. You know what I mean?
It would be fun.
It would be fun anyway.
We would kill it. We would dominate and we would kill it, but it would be insanely fun. Yeah,
for sure.
Or we'll just have them come chill at a show. Get John Paul Jones out for a chill, and I'll be happy.
You said you live in San Diego.
Yeah.
big beer town. Are you a beer drinker?
Ish. Yeah. I'm not like a huge beer guy, but I love me a good blonde, and we have tons of microbreweries where I live. I live in Vista proper, it's North San Diego, and we have Booze Brothers Brewery, we have Aztec, Mother Earth, Stone is right down the street. There's like 12 in my city, but
Nice.
yeah, I love me a blonde. I always get the blonde at all these spots.
Blonde ales. Yeah. Those are
Blonde,
fun. Yeah, those are fun. I like blonde ales. I like lagers and pilsners lately, especially in the
yeah.
summer months because it's so hot and like the IPAs these days are not what they used to be. The IPAs now have like sugar and like milk sugar and lactose,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and like if I have more than half of one, my mouth is all sticky and gross at this point.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's too much for me.
yeah, so I stick to clean beers. But Stone, you mentioned down there that's the one with the beer garden, right?
Yeah, that place is insane.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
The waterfalls in there and shit.
yeah, they have weddings there. It's like it's no joke. Well, they had weddings there. No people are having event spaces now. That's another big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I have buddies that have owned businesses based on renting, their property for events, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oops.
yeah. My wife has a furniture rental company for special events, and people can't gather. So we
It's wild.
understand.
It's wild, man. Like I know musicians are hurting because you can't tour, and that's a big source of income. But at least you have the opportunity to do stuff online. You can do streams, Twitch streaming and all that to kind of make some money from it. But
Yeah.
there's
There's
so
ways to work. I mean, it's pretty rough, but we'll
yeah.
figure it out.
You have something like there's people that don't have any like
Absolutely.
bartenders are screwed. Beer guys. Like I used to be a beer guy. That's what the podcast used to be, rock and roll beer guy. So I used to go sell beer door to door for restaurants and bars. Most of
Yeah.
my friends in that world are screwed.
Yeah, I mean the whole world is in a crazy spot right now. Our country is getting hit hard, and I don't know what the answer is.
I think that's the biggest problem. Aside from obviously people dying and getting sick, the biggest problem is that we don't know what's happening. Like nobody knows what's happening. Doesn't seem like the government knows what's happening. They're just kind of like winging it. Like, I guess we'll open up. We got to open up because the economy's collapsing. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, man. I'm sure we'll find out eventually what is happening.
Yeah. Like you said, focus on yourself. You got a family. You got a 2-year-old. You got music, obviously, that you just put out. Just stay creative and writing and
Yeah, I think
staying
that's
healthy.
what everyone needs to do, right? Take advantage of the quote unquote opportunity, and understand that everyone's in a similar position, and it's people you can talk to if you're feeling down or depressed or dealing with any sort of addiction, any of this stuff. Like it's a good time to pick up a hobby and be creative and find a healthy vice, and I think maybe that's what my role is to just try to throw my positivity out there and help people that need help. That's all I can do.
Yep. And then it's appreciated, man. I love the fact that you are you've got you said 3 projects out with music. Because I only know about Hell or High Water and the Used. What's the third?
The Good Men is basically a
Okay.
collection of songs from over the years that I had never put out.
And those are solo stuff, like just all
Yeah,
you.
just stuff I had on old hard drives I had recorded, and this whole thing hits, and I've been digging deep into old stuff. It's like, oh, I actually have these finished mixed songs from another lifetime ago. I should put them out.
Nice, man.
Yeah, just fun. It's nice for people to just hear some old stuff.
Do you think Hell or High Water might write some more music in the near future, or?
I don't know. We haven't really had that conversation. I mean, I'm the Used is my life, and we have a lot on our plate when it actually exists. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe someday. Not said we'll do it. So that sounds like a sentence. We haven't not said we'll do it. You figure it out.
Yeah. You never say
Sure.
never. Sure. Yeah.
Never said it once.
And then finally, the last thing I have is like, do you have hobbies outside of music, like you know, comic books or movies or uh,
Oh man,
pro wrestling
I
or?
do, man, I do a lot of stuff. Just it's kind of all in the industry though. You know, I have a recording studio and I engineer and produce bands and I manage a couple bands. That takes up a lot of my time. My other hobby is being a dad full time. That takes up all of my
Yeah.
potential hobbies.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Rewind. I was
Oh,
like, never
sorry.
mind. You have a 2-year-old.
I have a 2-year-old and yeah, a wife and a studio, and I manage bands and I play in a band. I used to build furniture. That was another big one that I was about, but yeah, just too much other things going on now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, having a kid is a lot of work. I've never had my own, but you know, I raised my brother and sister from when they were born to like ages 6 and 4, and
Oh man, you get it.
yeah, I did the 3, 4, 5 a.m. vomit, piss, shit session. Like.
Yeah. It doesn't even phase you anymore.
No,
That's
it's
crazy.
that's I have friends like, so when are you gonna have your own? I'm like, I don't know. I already kind of did it.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. Yeah. Yeah, we got a good one. My kid's pretty easy. She's super mellow and she's like
That's
her
cool.
mom, thank goodness. Yeah.
Good. That's good. She's not running around like you on stage or something.
She is a little bit. She's got like a crazy side. She'll get that look in her eye and like jump off of everything, but mostly she's pretty chill.
That's awesome. Well, hey, dude, I appreciate you taking some time to talk to me. I know, like you said, you're busy as hell. But it was great chat. Thanks for stopping in.
I love it, dude. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Nick Scrivens for helping
Oh,
us,
Nikki
hooking us up.
Scravy, the whiz.
All right,
I
guys.
love it.
If you're listening, go to the social media at the used, right? Just at the used.
How do you use? Go do it.
At the used. In what you have? Was it Brutal Ford? Is that yours?
Brutal Ford. Yeah, that's it.
Cool, man. Well, thanks again, dude. Cheers.
I love it. Talk to you later, bud.
Later.